Welcome. So today I thought I'd do a little note card. There's a couple of different ways we're going to do it, and we're going to be using a birthday candle, which is actually what I really like the outcome, and that was for this one here, and just a standard crayon but in the white. So this one I've done it in the white and the blue, but we're going to do just the white today and see which one you like. So these are quite a small note card. I'll just pop them away and we'll get started. So first you'll need to make your card base. So we're going to get our Whisper White cardstock, and normally we cut it into 14.9, which is what we're going to do. If we use a cutting blade it might help better. But then we're just going to cut it, instead of scoring at the 10.5, we're going to cut it at the 10.5. And then we're going to score just under 7.5 on both of those. So grab your bone folder and you've got your card base there. We'll just do 2 card bases so we can see the difference between the 2 mediums and how they work. And then all you're going to need, with the scrap bit of paper that you cut off, we need to cut this into 9.5 by 7. So I'm just going to cut a 7, 2 lots of 7, and I'm going to cut it at 9.5. So this is what we're going to be stamping on and working on. Should mean 7.5, sorry. We're a little bit short. We'll have to go, oh no, we went this way. So that's right. 9.5 by 7 for your 2 bits, and we don't need the scrap paper. So because we're going to be using the inks today, you want to put your silicone mat down. This is just going to make it easier to clean up your work surface. So all you do is grab one of your, or you can grab both of them, I might do them both at once, your pieces of paper. And today we're going to be using this stamp set, Butterfly Gala, for the wording. I'm going to use just a little note. And for the flower, we're going to be using this. This is Flower Shop. This is an old retired stamp set. But that's fine. You can use whatever flower or whatever design that you have. So all you need to do is grab your Memento black stamp pad. And we're just going to ink up our stamp. I might move it over this side. And stamp onto your page. Yet again, I'm going over the edge of my paper. Another one in this corner. Do one up here and one down the bottom here. So you just want to let that dry. That won't take long to dry at all. While that's drying, I'm just going to clean up my stamp pad. My silicone mat, should I say. Now I find the easiest thing for that is just the wet baby wipe. And then grab yourself a tissue or a cloth just to wipe any moisture off, and we're ready for the next part. So the 2 of these, we're going to do them both separate, both differently. So one, all this is your standard candle. I've sharpened it just to give it a little bit of a point, but you can use a little bit of the color. One of them, it might have come off. I don't know if you can see here. It's a little bit blue, and that's just the color off the edge of the crayon. So all you need to do is go around and color it in. Try and remember where you start on each flower. The area that we color in is where the ink will not stick. So that's what gives you the white flower. I like the rustic look on it, so I don't really mind if I go a little bit off the edge of the petal. So you just want to do all your flowers, and anywhere that, yeah, the crayon, no, this one's the candle, anywhere the wax isn't on the flower, it will pick up ink when we do put the ink onto the cardstock. Okay, so I'm just going to blow that off. So that's that one there. You can do this in coloured, or we might do a little bit in blue and a little bit in white. I'll do one in blue. Actually, I might do 2 of the flowers in blue. The blue is a little bit easier in the fact that you can see where you're colouring in. But I found with the crayon, you really had to press quite hard for there to be enough wax on the paper that it didn't pick up ink. I'm just going to do these other ones in the white. So the white just means we'll have a white flower. When we finish, the blue just means we're going to have a blue flower. Just giving you 2 options because not everyone has crayons at home. Okay, I'm going to just move them a little bit further apart to do the ink. So the stamp pads we're going to be using today, we're going to be using your Daffodil Delight and your Granny Apple Green. And the sponge Daubers, which are these. So all you do, you pop it on your finger into your ink and just start off your page. And just rub your colour in where you want it. I think I want it more green in the middle here. I want a green stripe down the middle of this one. Oops, almost did the wrong colour. And you just want to blend the colours together as they meet up. I'm definitely not perfect in doing this. I just like to get some colour on the page. So you can play for as much as you like with your colours and how. I did green. It's because I picked up the green with the yellow tip. You can put, yeah, as much or as little ink on the page as you like. So once you've got the ink on, and I quite like those too, make sure you close your stamp pads up so that they don't dry out. I'm not going to do it now, but make sure you clean your silicone mat so that you're ready for your next project. And this is our background. So with these, I'm just going to grab a cloth and give it a little bit of a wipe over where I've put the crayon or the wax on. As you can see here, I really didn't rub very hard with the wax, so it didn't get a lot of colour. And that will just rub off any ink that's sitting on top of the wax. But I don't know, I think I like, that was the candle and that was the crayon. I actually think I like the candle better. I think it gives you a clearer white. in the flower or the space that you don't want the colour. So now all we're going to do, we're going to put it on, we're going to cut it first. So we've got a section here. We want to cut at 7.5. Let me double check that. How wide did we do the card? Yeah, 7.5. And I'll show you why I wanted that little extra piece at the end. So 7.5. We'll give you just a little extra piece on each one. Alright. Now all we need to do is tear them. So when you're tearing paper, make sure I've got it the right way. So that's the way it goes on the card. So we want to tear these two sides. When you're tearing paper, you want to tear, if you tear towards you, you'll get the white showing on the front. If you tear behind, you won't get that white edge. So it's up to you whichever way you want. I want the white edge on it. So I'm going to tear towards myself and up. But if you wanted not to have the white, then you tear behind. What you can also do is you can grab your sponge or whatever you've used and just dab it along the edge. We're not colouring in the white, but we're just giving it a little bit of colour so it'll stand out against the white cardstock a bit better. So do that with both of them. Just make sure you're ripping the right way. And grab your sponge, whichever colour you like best. Just a little bit of colour on the edges there. And then we just need to stick these to the cards. So just a bit of our liquid glue. And you can see on the back there that you've got a bit of colour. I'm going to stick it up towards the top so that we've got space at the bottom for our sentiment. Do the same with the other one. So all you've needed for this is just one A4 sheet of cardstock, some glue, and then your inks and whatever colour inks you want to use. Okay, now these extra pieces, I'll make sure I've got the right one. All I did was I just glued them inside the bottom of the card, just to give the inside of the card a little something. I didn't want to put any wording inside the card because these are just, I'm going to put just a note, put a little note on the front as the wording. So I'm not sure what these cards will be used for. They could be used for all sorts of things. They could be used as a thank you note, just to say hi. So I didn't want to put any wording inside the card because then it'll leave it open that I can use them for more things. So I just put a little bit. I really like this one. I like how we got quite a few flowers on this one. Okay, so the last step is to put your sentiment on, and we're going to use the Butterfly Gala set, and I'm going to use the Stamparatus because I wanted to heat emboss. So I didn't think about this. Oh yeah, that's going to fit. Okay, so just pop your card down, find out where you want to put your sentiment. Should just fit there. Now I'm going to use our black Memento ink to ink it first, and then I'm going to use our Versamark ink to put the heat emboss powder on. But first you want to use your Embossing Buddy, which I always forget. Now, what the Embossing Buddy does is it just stops any of the extra embossing powder from sticking to where you don't want it to. So I'm going to do it in black first. This is the great thing about your clear embossing powder, is that you can use whatever color you want. So I've just got my chamois, and I'm going to clean off that stamp before I put the Versamark ink, which is this one here. And this is what's going to stick the embossing powder onto the card. Just make sure I've got a nice, just going to do that twice to make sure I've got a nice coating on it. Give my stamp a little bit of a clean off so I can do the next one. Alright, so we can take our Stamparatus away now before we do the next card. And I've just got my clear embossing powder in here. I've just made a little scoop with a bit of scrap bit of paper. So that's what it looks like now. We'll grab the heat gun. Sorry, this is going to be a little bit loud. I'll just turn it on to heat it up. So I always like just to heat the back of the card a little bit first and then round the front. And I love heat embossing. I love what happens as that embossing powder changes. And there we go. Now make sure, there you go, turn that off. Make sure you don't touch the heat embossing until it's cooled, because that is why this one here has a little green note on it, because I touched the embossing powder and smudged it all. So there's your first card, and you just repeat it again. So I'll show you again. We've got the Stamparatus. Pop your card down. Decide where you want to put your wording or your stamp or whatever it is. Just use that magnet a bit higher. Embossing Buddy. Okay, Memento ink. Actually, let's do this one. Let's do this one in maybe the green. Let's do it in the green just for something different. So I'm just going to ink up my stamp. I've inked up the whole Stamparatus, which we didn't want to do. So this one's going to be green. Get your chamois. Now my chamois is really well used, but it's okay, it still does the job. Clean off that coloured ink. If you don't clean off the coloured ink, then you'll end up with coloured ink in your Versamark, and they get pretty gross. I'm just going to do this twice again, just to make sure I've got... It's a bit hard to see sometimes, the Versamark, because it's clear. Just clean that off. And put that one away. Grab our clear embossing powder again. Yep, that looks pretty good. And I'll just turn the heat gun on again. Sorry for the noise. And that one's done there. We've got it in the green. So these are the 2 note cards we just made with a little bit of a design inside. So a really simple card, but quite effective. Thank you for joining me today.